the simplest thing possible. You have to set the people who are producing that economy free. In the last 15 years, the opposite's occurred. In a country that is based on skepticism about politicians, the U.S. government has grown by leaps and bounds. That cost is an imposition on freedom. We get up every day to trade our work for that of others, but our trade has become much less free. We've seen just in recent years an attempt to re-regulate health care, energy, all sorts, and banking on the way to less economic freedom. And we've seen the value of the dollar shrunken. That is, our paychecks have been taken away from us in terms of the dollar's value buying much less. And so when you factor all those in, we're much less free, and no surprise, the economy is growing.
I want to get to your point about America, about the dollar buying less, but really quick, I just want to put it on the screen because it's so depressing. Here are the top 5 freest economies in the world: Hong Kong, Singapore, New Zealand, Switzerland, UAE. They're freer in Abu Dhabi than we are, and the least free, Venezuela, Burma, Congo, Zimbabwe, and Chad, all synonyms for disaster, those countries. Now, you mentioned the fact, and it is a fact, that Washington seems to be ignoring, that the dollar buys less. And this may be a product of the Fed devaluing our currency, do you think?
It's exactly that. One of the biggest modern myths is this idea that oil and gas have become expensive. Nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, the dollar in which they're priced has been cheapened. This has been by design from the Treasury and Fed for at least 12 years, and it's shrunk the average of the paycheck, really, of all Americans, and it's also greatly reduced the ability of Americans to find jobs.
So it just completely screws the middle class. I mean, it just hammers people who aren't rich, is what you're saying.
Yeah, because the middle class are much less able to hedge the decline in the value of the dollars they earn, but it hurts them in another major way. I mean, what we can't get beyond, Democrats and Republicans must acknowledge that there are no companies and no jobs without investment first. But when the federal government is explicitly devaluing the dollar, it tells investors, why commit capital if the returns you're going to get down the line will come back in dollars greatly devalued?
Exactly.
And so instead they put their capital on strike, and Americans have greatly reduced job opportunities. Economic growth is so easy, but when you destroy the dollar, which is the lubricator of that, you're going to necessarily see greatly reduced hiring.
Well, exactly. And they tell us there's no inflation. Every year Washington says there's no inflation. I go shopping once a year because I have a wonderful wife. She leaves town, I go to the grocery store. I can't believe how expensive everything is. There's no inflation? I don't know what you call it. My dollar buys less. And everyone who buys things knows that. They should stop lying to us about it because it's obvious.
It's very, very true. Inflation is you can make it what you want it to be, but we know there's inflation simply to look at food and groceries, and basically the federal government has stripped those out of the calculations to make it appear that we're doing fine. But we also know there's inflation because the economy is so slow. When the dollar is being devalued, there's less investment. Without investment, you don't have new companies and jobs.
Man, you are one articulate character at 6:19 in the morning. I'm impressed. John, thanks for joining us this morning.
Have a good day.